Well, hello YouTubers. Hey, this morning I have a special stick here again, and it looks like to me it's elm. I'm not certain, not a tree expert at all, not expert of much anything, to tell you the truth about it. I just do this as a hobby and have fun with it. But the first thing I do is look at the end of them for cracks, and definitely got some cracks there. So I'll cut about an inch off and see if the cracks remain. If I need, if there's still some cracks seen, I'll cut a little more off of that. And once I'm satisfied that's a good, solid, clean end, then I'll go to the other end and see how long it is. Cut it off to a minimum of whatever I have to, but I like to keep them at 56, 58 inches long. And as long as I keep them under 60 inches, I'm happy. And that one well qualifies. Since I'm being 62 inches tall, I'm good with this one. So let's stay tuned and see what develops with this. It's got some spots on it. It's been out a while. It's good and dry. It has some signs of nice texture in the grain, and fairly overall straight. And as you know, straight's not my main agenda. I like some crooks and character along the way, and but anyhow, straight, there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing perfectly straight because these are not dowel rods. And I see something happening here that's going to be worth watching. So stay tuned and let's see what develops. I am going to knock the bark off of this. You see this is probably got some spalding in it also. It's been out quite a while. And I've got it cut to length at 57, 58 inches. No cracks on either end. And we're ready to start removing the bark. So let's get right on into it. And this bark is not heavy, so I'm not going to use as heavy a grit. It's going to be a less, it's a cut-saw bit, but it's not as aggressive as the one with the heavy bark on it. So I just picked that up. You see I have a angle grinder here from Harbor Freight, but I don't recommend Harbor Freight unless you can beat Amazon's prices, which are usually better than Harbor Freight. Now, used to, that wasn't true, but since people thought that Amazon was mostly USA, well, it's not. And the fact is, all the stuff comes from just different company like Harbor Freight, total Japanese, probably 90% or better off of Amazon that you buy is also China. So can't really get around that with any kind of tool. So I just go after the best buy, and that's usually Amazon now these days. Also, something hard to beat is this dust collector for the angle grinders. Now you can get those at Harbor Freight too, but if you do, definitely they're $5 higher there than they are at Amazon anywhere. So like I said, check out Amazon and check out Harbor Freight too. You know, in your area, they may be cheaper. So I'm just wanting to mention that. And go to Cut-Saw for all your grinding heads like I do. You save yourself 5% if you go over there today and mention my code off the link I have below there. Let's get started and get this going. I'll turn on the noise now and we'll get this bark knocked off. Now I have another one done here, roughed out, and I tried to taper it as I went along. And what you do to do that is just kind of skip over. You do this area here, get it down to the bare wood where you want it, and then you skip a little area. Go down here, and you get that down to where you want it. Now, when you come back and take this off, go ahead down over that a little bit too. That takes a little bit more of the natural wood off that you had here, which creates a slight taper. Then here, you'll skip over some bark and go to here. trim it down. Now when you come back to get this bark off, go all the way down over this at the same time. Now you're developing more of a taper. So do that on and on all the way to the tip. When you come down to the tip, should be a nice maybe 3/4 inch on the end, 3/4 to an inch. If not, then you just start coming back up the stick. But I don't try to make them look like a dowel rod, so they're going to look like a stick in the end. So that one, I'll turn it around off camera and get this little bit because I use that as a hand grip. Don't want to get any closer than that. And as a matter of fact, my hand is back here away from that grinder. Don't want to get that grinder too close to this hand, but you need something to hold on to there. And I don't get any closer than that. So I'll turn the stick over when I get it done. I'll flip it around and then I'll finish this up. And we're ready for the 150 grit sandpaper. Here you see I'm getting ready to do the orbital sand finish sanding on this stick. I've got some ideas today that we're going to see something a little different on the finish. Let's get started with this sander right now and get this knocked out. See, what I do first to all my sticks is get this little screw hook in the end, and I hang them over my wires in the back. So now we're all ready for that. We got that out of the way. And then I'll show you a trick here. I'll pour a little alcohol on this napkin here, and I'll rub this down like this. Well, that alcohol evaporates very quickly, and I get it the various ways you can get the dust off of it. I want to make sure all the dust is gone. What I'm about to show you here, 2 cups. We're going to have an epoxy going on here. Since I put these pumps on the bottle, I can actually count the pumps and gets it pretty well equal. I still have to look at them, but from now on, I don't have to worry about taking the lids on and off. I want to set them down, make sure I got it mixed about equal. And then what the solo cup comes in is I put both of them right in the solo cup. And I kind of get them squedged in there upside down, just like you see there. And I let them drain a while. And that way you don't have to sit there and stand there and hold them to get all of your epoxy part A and B mixed well. And I had about a 1/2 cup each there is what I put in there. What I wanted this time was enough to cover this entire stick. So we got equal amounts in there, as much as we can get. I'm going to scrape just a little more of that out because a lot of it stays in the cup, and you can't wait all day for that to dry out. But I got them pretty well cleaned out with that stick. Now I'm going to toss them away. So I'd highly recommend, if you're going to try this, is to get this kit. Rolleo's what I use. Great success with it, and these go a long way, and it gives you a variety of colors, and I think that's a good way to start out. Don't need no big jars of it because it don't take that much of it. Let me grab another stick. I use the ice cream stick to get this powder out and kind of measure what I've done. But I'm gonna try this gold over this whole stick. You want to make sure that it's right side up when you take the cap off of it, because that powder will go everywhere. Now what I'm going to do is measure that. I'm going to take 2 big sticks of it, maybe 3 in that one. That should do it. You don't want to do this with the breeze going on, or it'll blow it every which way, and you don't want to breathe this stuff. We have a stick, and all we do is stir this up really, really good. But you have to mix this for about 4 minutes and get ready to apply it. I'll be back. Well, we're back, and I have this stirred up real well, and it's ready for the application. Now, what I'm going to do is got my bottle back on that, get this pigment back out of the way, get this out of the way. What we're going to have to do now, we can't lay this down on any surface after we start this. So I want to show you when you're handling your resin that you have gloves on. You do want to have rubber gloves on because I'm going to pour this right out in this glove, and you'll see that's a nice golden color, and we'll soon see what it looks like. We'll put that right on the stick. Kind of gives it a copper tone. Now I'm going to make sure that is covered real well. This is going to be a copper tone stick for sure. Now we could pour some more out. It's best to make sure that you have enough for the entire stick. It's going to be just about right. I'm going to take it back now. It's getting pretty sticky. I'm going to go hang it up. We'll see what it looks like after it dries. Here is the embellishment that I'm going to put on the top of my Coppertone stick. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call it yet, but anyway, I've leveled this out, and this is my jig for holding anything round or diamond shape. You just get it level with the top here, and then you can drill your 1/4-inch hole right in the top of it, and this is the resin. And the problem is, see how it's stuck through right there? Well, what you have to have is your level surface up there parallel with this surface. And if it's sticking out, you have to improvise a little. And what I did, I put a board there, and it was still not enough. So I have this angle square that I use occasionally for different things, and I stuck that under there, and that lets that hang over just enough to clear the table. Now we still have it all level, and at the top here I can just hold this down as I'm drilling, and all I do is find the center, which right in, have a little mark there, but you can eyeball this, be close enough. I think that's it right there. So let's comb that just a little bit, see what it looks like. And let's see, I'm going to move it just a little. It's looking pretty good. So let's go with that. Drill a hole, and that's it. All we're wanting to do is get a hole in there and tear this off the bit. Got us a nice little hole, and we loosen that up, and you see it just comes right out, and you got a hole right dead center right there. Now let's go over to the bench and see what we do with this. So now I have my same 1/4-inch bit in the hand drill here, and I'll just find the center right here, and let's punch the center in just a little bit, give us just a little bit of a mark there to get that drill bit, and then we go right over here and by hand. Now get everything squared up as much as you can to go straight in, and give it the old evil eye any way you can. And this is for your dowel pin. That's pretty deep. That's deep enough. You need about 1/4 inch or better in there. Minimum 1/4 inch. Minimum 1/4 inch in this one, and you're good. So let's see what we do with that now. Okay, two things we want to do here first. 1/4 inch dowel, and just cut it off a 1/2 inch or so, and see how it fits in there. That bottoms out and leaves about 1/4 there sticking out. And now this one, you want to bottom it out in there. And what you want to do is make sure that that'll go on there. And certain way you turn it, Now you know you didn't pay a lot of attention to get it dead center, because you can turn this. That's going to go way out of whack right there. I don't know if I can show you, but the reason you don't have to get dead center on that is, let's look at that. See how far that's off? And if you get right in that area, it just squares it right up. So that's off right there. You get it right, turn it till you get it right, looking good on the center. And that's all we have to do. There you have it. Coat this again with clear epoxy, and that will make this shine again. I just faceted around the top of this, or the bottom of this. I just sanded some facets in that came down to a complete edge here. So we'll see what that looks like a little later on. What's normally done is you get all the finish on it. I would put the whatever stain and poly or whatever I wanted to put over the clear coat. I'd do that first before I put the embellishment on. But the embellishment needs some crystal clear put over that, because where I just faceted that with the file, it's time consuming. I didn't show that over this video. I thought maybe in a different video, but that's not shiny like the rest of it, and that's what we got to have. So since I'm going to put clear epoxy over this needs clear epoxy. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that all together to get that top on there. Then we'll put the clear coat on, which is clear epoxy. And we'll put that on before we put the hand grip on and wrist strap. And I have something different for you today on that also. So let's go ahead and mix the AB epoxy. I use JB Weld clear weld. There's parts A and B, and you just mix them 50-50. What's nice about them, they don't harden until you mix them, and they're color-coded lids, so you don't get them mixed up. If you did, they'd glue themselves on, and you'd never get them off. So let's just, what we do here, another eyeball technique. I'll just do that, and I'll snap this lid right back on it just to keep the bugs out. If a bug got in it, they'd sure wish they hadn't, but now I'll just put another puddle out here and give it time to grow and see that it's the same size. That one's about the size of a quarter now. This one is less, so I need a little more. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. That's 50-50 right there. Now let's put that lid on it. We got a 50-50 mix of epoxy, ice cream stick. I just stir it right on the spot. Now this is not like resin. You have to mix it and get the bubbles out and all that kind of stuff. You just make sure that it's all mixed good. Now what I want to do is turn this on its end. I'm going to move the camera up a little. Okay, I have the camera readjusted here where you can see. I'm holding this up because I don't want the epoxy to run out, and I want it to stay right where I put it for a little while anyway. So let's get us a little stick full of this epoxy and put it right in that hole. And it went right down in there. And you don't need to mix as much epoxy as what I did. I go overboard with it sometimes. And I got that in there. Now it don't dry immediately, but it dries fairly fast. It'll dry in about 15 minutes. I always give it a half hour just for good measure. Get this and just watch it run in that hole. You don't have to run it all the way out the end because it'll squeeze out to the edge. We'll put that right on the top. And that went right on there. Now we want to be careful and not smear that around anywhere else. We'll turn that and eyeball it this way, and you can see that way it's getting way off. And right there looks pretty good all the way around. That's good enough right there. See, that's a pretty good fit on the end of that stick. So I'm gonna drink me a cup of coffee. Okay, here we are after the two-part epoxy has dried. The embellishment is fastened properly to the end of the stick. Anyway, looking good there. You'll see my part A and B. What I do, I just count the pumps. There's 2 pumps, and that's about 1/4 inch over the whole stick for the clear. About 2.5 pumps, and that should mix it about 50-50. Now what I'm going to do again is just pour these cups in there and let them kind of lock into where they'll not be disturbed, and let them drain just a little while. I have my popsicle sticks out here to stir with. I'll go ahead and demonstrate how I'm going to put that clear on here. That's about it. It's drained out pretty good. Put that in my trash box over there. And then this has got to be stirred for about 4 minutes. So we're going to go in and sit down and relax, and we'll be back in a jiffy. Okay, here we are. That jiffy wasn't too long, was it? Now, we've stirred that for about four minutes, and it's clear, nothing in it. And what I simply do is pour me out a handful of it, and I'll start wiping it on. Have the bench cleaned off here. Have this wiped down good, and I'll just pour that right on my glove, just like that, right on down. You want it pretty thin when you wipe it on. If you don't, it'll run down, and it'll leave a nice tip on the end there that you just have to dry. You just have to sand off. And go right on down the stick. And I'm gonna go hang it up. Have to let it dry for 24 hours, so it's gonna be mañana by the time we come back and get on this stick again. So see you later. Okay, here you see I have the stick laying here, and it's just showing you the handle area. The grip for the stick is going to be right about where my hand is now. And what I like to do is take a popsicle stick. My width of my hand is about the same as that popsicle stick. So a little bit longer than there will give you the grip area that you want. Now to start with, what I'm going to use for this stick here, this is Coppertone. I call it my Coppertone stick, and I'm going to go about an inch wide. No matter how wide it is. But what I want to do first is that's the end of your rawhide lace. I have it on this spool. So what you do is take the end of it, and I'm going to let a curl stick out on the end just a little bit. You see that double? I'm leaving a couple inch, stick it up in there. And just so that loop sticks out. Okay, now you see what we have here? We have that loop sticking out, and that there. Put your finger right there, and let's wrap that, tie that to the stick with this painter's tape, which it will come off before we get done with this. Wrap that around there to hold it good. See that held that, and that holds your loop. And the wrap is going to go at least down to there, maybe a little bit further. We're going to start wrapping up here. Now tear off another section, 8 or 9 inches of that tape, and have it up here ready to go. It's back here out of the way. Now I said I've done disturbed that little popsicle stick. I keep that as a guide. Now I'm gonna wrap that down in right there, and that's a little below the popsicle stick. Right up here is about where I'm going to wrap it to, and let's start it right about here. So we got to mark there's where it's going to be started, is right in that area there. So put your thumb on that, make sure this is flat up and down either side you want to use. And now you want to go up here, and you're leaving that flat. I want to leave, say, about 5 inches out beyond this, and you'll have a loop like this. So you can see that now, right there. See that double loop? I'm going to look at my popsicle stick. Now I want to go, leave that tape so you don't wrap your tape up. And I'm going to wrap that down and wrap that tape around the stick too. So now what you get is a loop starting here. It goes down and around. Keep this flat. Goes up here. You got a loop sticking out. That's your wrist strap to be there. And we're ready to start wrapping. Now what I want you to do is take this stick. It's the reason you have to have, let's get it a little higher here. Now your loop, your spool will go under your stick. So get it all under there. And you see how that, now with this, we can flip it over. You don't want to try to do it with that side's up now. You want to flip it over and put the other side up and let it start wrapping around, just like you see it here. And then it'll go in the next one. Keep that pulled tight and look at that and make sure that's not twisted at any time. And just snug it snugly all the way down. Don't want it pulled tight at all, because you got to pull that other end of the leather up through there. You see what I'm doing now? I got it started good. So I'm turning the stick instead of passing the roll over there. So roll around the stick, and you can see as you go around that that's flat now. You don't have to turn it over. That little tail there won't go around another time. So what you want to do is bring it right under that little thread you got out there and hold it like that. That's all pushed up on there real good. Now I want to be careful and show you on the camera. You see you brought this little tail up and put it through that loop. This loop here is going to pull that loop up under there. And to do that, we're going to take this outside loop. See how that's pulling that little loop right up tight in there. Just like that. You don't want to do too much or you'll tear it. So let me show you how to avoid that. If you pull super strong, you'll pull your loop in two. So let's don't do that. Let's take a screwdriver. This is all real tight in here. Take a screwdriver and pop that over that knot. Just get it over there, just so you get it up under there good. And you just pull a little more, a little at a time. Now that's probably enough to keep that bound in there pretty good. Now, one more thing, I'm gonna get a nippers now and cut this tail off. See, I kind of lost my camera a little bit. On this end, pull that loop back through there until that loop pull this end back under the leather. You got enough to come up. So you lock that one under that loop right there in that short pigtail. That's the other end of your wrist strap. Bring that wrist strap up twice. You want a double wrap under that pigtail here. So we'll pull it tight now, as tight as we can. Now with this loop here, this is your loose end. I want to tighten that up in a hard knot right there. There you go. Everybody can see that better than I'm doing. Now, pull that down tight right there. You have a wrist strap up here. That won't come back, reeling back here. And there's your wrist strap around where it belongs at the top. And I'm sorry, I think I lost that film right in here, the recording. But the loop we had sticking out, and when I got to the pigtail, I just stuck it under there and pulled it up. I want to mention that now because I think the camera was not rolling. I don't know. If it was, I'll cut this part out. But anyway, you get down at the other end of this loop then and pull that, and that tightens that loop, and it pulls this pigtail that you come out with up and under that leather. It's coming way up into here, tightly under that, so that's not coming loose. And that gives you a nice smooth wrap, as you can see. I think we're ready to turn these cameras around now and do a final review and take a better look with me standing upright. Well, there we are, YouTubers. I have another stick ready, and I have to say myself that it turned out quite well. You can see the embellishment on the top was a resin crest, jeweled crest, and it has some Coppertone flares in it. It's very shiny, faceted all the way down. It is not sharp, but the stick itself, you can see some fine glitter in there that I used as a copper-colored stick, Coppertone stick, all the way down. It makes a beautiful, slick finish, shiny finish, and you see the leather handle was all locked in at the bottom with no knots. It's just a simple wrap. It's tucked back through with a loop, and you go flat all the way down, more similar to an axe handle. And then up at the top, I showed you how to end up tying that into a loop back into itself, tying this all together so it don't come unwrapped. I may yet put a little super glue around that and glue that to the stick. But other than that, there's your wrist strap. Very nice wrist strap. It's not adjustable, but you can get your hand in and out it. And turned out quite nice. Same old, say so myself. Now you can still rest your chin on that, but you can't lay it like this. You want to hold your hand down like it's in a grip. And I can rest while I'm tied to the trail somewhere, just like you see there. It's about 57 inches, somewhere there, give or take. And hey, it's just waiting for somebody to say that's just right for me. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd sure appreciate that. And if you like this video, also don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Keep the prayers coming for my wife. She's coming along right well, but not good yet. But we're depending on the works of the Lord, and praise God for what He does. Keep that in mind, and I'll see you in the next video.